What happens when purchasing a record feels more rewarding than the listening experience? Let's find out. So, here we are. A bit late, and this video was supposed to go up before my last, but that's just not how things worked out. If you guessed right, we're here to talk about, well, if you guessed by the thumbnail, we're here to talk about Bob Marley's Exodus, ultra high quality record by Analog Productions. This is the 16th UHQR record by their cataloging system. Others you may have known of are the Kind of Blue 33 and 45, Bob Marley's Rastaman Vibration, Experience Hendrix, Axis Bold as Love, the Steely Dan series, and I might be forgetting a couple, but I'm sure if you're watching this, you have at least one of those records. So getting this record was a gigantic pain in the ass. I'm sure if you followed the forums or seen the videos of other vinyl community YouTubers, it was a very big hassle. Acoustic Sound's website was down most of the day of the announcement. Phone lines were tied up. Many people, as a result of this, many people could not get a copy. I did manage to secure one once the chaos died down, but I'm sure for many it was a frustrating experience that possibly even turned them off of future UHQR buying opportunities. Now, was it worth it? These albums are not cheap to begin with. $125 for 33 RPM release, and $150 US for a double 45, which is no small sum. You could buy several high-quality audiophile standard releases for the price, or a treasure trove of used records. Now, in Canada, for me as an international buyer, they're even more expensive. So we have to pay duties, taxes, and international shipping. So this record ended up costing me just over a hair over, well, close to $230 Canadian, which is quite a bit of money for one album. Now, what do you get for this hard-earned money that you spent on your records? You get a box. Yes, a box with a faux wooden dowel. If you ask me, I say we get rid of these boxes. They're kind of just useless. I don't store the record in them. I don't really care about the marketing materials they come with, or about the technical specifications. The only really cool part about it is the record itself, which I'm sure everyone wants, and the booklet it comes with. Now, this is a numbered release. This is number 392. So, low number out of, I believe these were numbered to 3,000. The typical Analog Productions hype of the licensed and analog, and their whatever there. Pretty much the exact same box as this record. Nothing is really different. I will say this is the better presentation, but I'll get into that more later. So now the meat and potatoes, the record. I'm sure you're wondering, well, what does this come with? Well, you see, it comes with this. Whoa! It comes with a pretty decent booklet. Movement of Ja People. Now, if you don't understand the whole Rasta movement and the history of Bob Marley and all of that and his sort of message in his music, I highly encourage you to read up on that. Very inspiring, very interesting character. May God rest his soul. Now, this booklet, not nearly as nice as the Kind of Blue UHQR booklet. That one just feels so much more substantial, and like more thought and effort went into that particular release. But that's neither here nor there. You get this sort of milky white record on one single 33 disc with a nice tough gong label. Cool. It's virtually the same as the kind of blue UHQR, although I will say this record is quieter. Not as much noise. I don't know if that's just due to my particular copy or if they changed the formula. But I will say this whole clarity vinyl formula, it's kind of getting ridiculous. Just use what everyone else is using. You know, the super vinyl, the SRX, whatever it's called. It's tried and true. It's proven. It's the quietest records I've ever heard, besides the JVC super vinyl in Japan from the original MoFi releases. But I think that Analog Productions should use that. Now onto the jacket. This is not a Stoughton tip-on jacket. The kind of blue is a Stoughton tip-on. This is a direct-to-board sort of jacket. It has some embossed lettering on the front and the back, but it is not a tip-on jacket. It is not glossy. My guess this was done to sort of emulate the original cover, the original copy, which is pretty much the same. But I will say I am disappointed. For $125, a direct-to-board jacket is simply unacceptable. I know we pay for the music and not the jackets, but if you're selling this as a premium package and you're trying to, and many times Chad has hyped it up as sort of the best materials his company has to offer, then you need to do better for your customers. Just a direct-to-board jacket for that price is ridiculous, and I imagine this will probably be the same jacket they use on the standard upcoming Marley releases. So really disappointed with the jacket overall. Could have been done a lot better. The booklet also feels like sort of an afterthought as well. Now, the sound quality. How does the record sound? Well, comparing this to original Canadian release, the original US release, the original UK release, I can firmly say that this stands head and shoulders above pretty much every other pressing. The UK is close, but the detail in Bob Marley's vocals and the backing vocals is especially apparent in this UHQR release. They're more transparent, more forward in the mix, not as buried. Tad bit more analytical sound. The music really shines on the UHQR release, but the UK has, I'd say, a nicer tonal balance, a little bit warmer, more accentuated mid-range, but the vocals, you do lose some of that vocal transparency in that mix, but it is, I'd say, closer to what was originally represented for the album. The UK releases, you can get them for much, much less than this UHQR is going for. And the original US Sterling cuts are no slouch either. So, a phenomenal release and representation and recording of that album and version. And I highly recommend that you purchase either of those two before you spend. I think this might be going for $300-400 on the secondary market, and I don't recommend paying that. It's still a phenomenal release, still, in my opinion, the best I've ever heard this album sound, but I would not, for the difference in quality to price. I mean, you can get a UK for, probably a mint UK for $100 versus the crazy price they're asking for this particular issue now. But that is no fault of Analog Productions or Chad, that's just the market. According to him, this rights were negotiated a long time ago. The 3,000 copies, and the Marley estate would not allow him to release more. And my guess is because they're releasing standard 33s, they're not going to put out 20,000 of the UHQRs. Now, just sort of a general rant. I'm kind of getting sick of the ultra premium releases at this point. Records do not need to be $125. And I think it started as companies not willing to license out tapes, but now I think more of these labels are using it as an excuse to charge the customer more, which is sad in my opinion. Sad to see some of the directions this hobby is going, because I don't believe there should be, really to a lot of hobbies, a barrier to entry where you have to pay a certain price point to get what's advertised at the best. I know that's not always possible, unfortunately, but it's just getting to a point where too many new releases or reissues are being charged an exorbitant price for those releases. Now, the record, it is phenomenal, and if you are able to find one on the secondary market for, a decent price, go ahead and purchase it. If you have the means, just want to spend $400 and you love Bob Marley, go ahead. I've heard some people say this record might increase in value the way Santana Abraxas has. That's very possible. I could see in a few years this being a $1,000 record. But, I don't know. To me, I just think this whole thing is getting out of hand. I'd like to see a lot of these reissue labels go back to pressing 33 RPM records. High quality. They're doing it with the jazz releases. I'm sure they could do it with some of the rock releases and other genres of music. Now, yeah, like I was saying, the Kind of Blue, this feels more substantial in every way. It's just, I'll take the booklet out of here. It's the booklet in this release is many more pages. And the pages are thicker, they're glossy. It just feels like this was treated like the marquee release that it is. And I love Bob Marley, I love Miles Davis, but I feel that the Rastman Vibration could have just been done on a standard 33 RPM pressing without all the extra fluff and, false scarcity and all that crap. I feel like it just could have been done affordably and better. But that's just one man's opinion. Still a great recording. I still love Analog Productions. But yeah, the ultra premium market is getting out of hand. And I kind of see it sort of dipping a bit as well. A lot of the new MoFi releases just aren't selling as well due to the economic situation right now around the world, and due to the fact they're just pressing so many. A lot of these records, like for example the Analog Productions, like 20,000 Steely Dan records at $150, that's insane to me. Steely Dan's a popular band, but for $150 a copy, like the originals are pretty plentiful for really cheap, to be honest. Unless you're talking like really getting into the weeds with the label variations and first pressings, you can get great sounding copies of most of Steely Dan's albums for, less than $50. So, I don't know. Next video, I'll be covering a jazz release I just picked up. The First Tone Poet I've purchased since 2021, so stay tuned for that. It features some of my favorite jazz artists. And then we'll be covering some more used finds. I recently found an excellent first pressing of a metal record from the 70s, if you want to call it metal, that really sort of kick-started a genre. So stay tuned for that. And thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.